Hello, Bookaholics. This is Deirdre Pippins, and we are continuing our mental health series today. And we're going to be talking about racial trauma and racial identity with Dr. Naeema Olatunji. Stay tuned, and we'll hear her story after this. Good morning, Dr. Naeema.
Good morning. Good morning.
Glad to have you here on the Bookaholic podcast.
It's good to be here with you.
Yes. So when I first read your information and that you had written a book, Raised as a Lie, that just struck me and just immediately impacted me. It's kind of like a gut punch. When you read that title, you're like, Raised as a Lie. And you know immediately that there's so much underneath all of that. And you're quite interested in peeling back all the levels of that, because when you think about yourself and how you were raised, and then for someone to write a book Raised as a Lie, you're like, immediately, what happened? So we want to delve into your childhood today. And just like this is falling underneath my series of mental health awareness. And in the mental health awareness series, I focused on various aspects of mental health awareness and how people have arrived at a mental health condition or mental health onsets and these type of things. And yours, of course, will go back to trauma of racism. So let's dive into your childhood. So go ahead and tell the audience, you woke up one day and you were already automatically living with an Italian family. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, my mom's Italian.
Okay. And but your father, so you're living in this whole Italian family. Describe the scenario. So describe a little bit of your childhood.
So
Before you found out your surprise.
mhm. I am a little brown girl who is part of an all-white family, and we live in a really tiny little town, if you could even call that, in rural Utah. So I am my earliest memories are of me being very aware that I look very different than my family. And I have an older sister who essentially uses me as her emotional punching bag. And she becomes just a constant bullying and always a reminder of just how different I am and how I'm not part of the family. And, all the things that a 3-year-old does not have language for to refute simply because, I am fully aware at such a young age that I don't look like anybody in my family. My brother and sister both have blonde hair, blue eyes. Um, the man on my birth certificate has blonde hair, blue eyes. My mother is brown hair, green eyes, all very pale skin. And I know that my brown skin and dark eyes and extremely curly hair don't match and they don't fit in. I just don't have language for why that is.
Wow. Okay. So let's say you're very young. Let's say you're the 3-year-old, which you just mentioned. And it's just so I'm trying to piece together my words because there's so many questions. So how many brothers and sisters do you have from that family?
Yeah, I actually have a younger brother and an older sister. And my older sister is not my younger brother's father, but they do favor each other quite a bit. And I never knew or met my sister's father, but I am imagining my mother had a type. And so she Um, and neither one of the men were actually Italian. And so my at this point, my mother is Italian, but I'm not. We're not in a community of Italian families. We live, as I said, just a very rural area in Utah. So I don't have those connections at that early age. She doesn't leave her first husband for another 3 years, and so we live there until we move to Southern California, where her family lives. And so I am sort of immersed in Italian culture and family, and what it feels like to be around extended family when I get into first grade.
Got you. But let me go back. So your mother is Italian. Okay, so where I'm trying to figure out where the children come in. So you have three siblings.
I
And
I I have two from the family. I have two.
okay. So you were the middle child
Yes.
in that situation? Okay, so you were the middle child, and so the older sister uses you as an emotional punching bag, and then you have the younger brother, and your mother is married at the time to a man which we will say is Caucasian. But so if you're the middle child, did your mother have you as part of an affair, or how did that happen?
Yeah. So this is where you got to read the book, because this is I talk about this in full detail in the book.
Mhm.
But yes, there is a surprise, because clearly I'm not the blonde hair, blue eyed man's daughter.
Right, right, right. Well, yes, but and then true, you have to read the book, but for my audience listening to this, they have to have some kind of connecting factor that will lead them to the book. Since you're the middle child and you look very different, obviously your mother had to have an affair. So, okay, so with that said, and with her being married to a man, he was I guess he was a very uh loving guy, but anyway. So but with that rural town and you're presented, no one ever asked as you grew older, kids can be cruel. Nobody ever asked you, why do you look so different? What was that like? School age life in Utah, what was that like? Or did you go to school age in California?
I did in California. I did in
Okay.
California, and we moved a lot. My mom was always in pursuit of a better life for us, and so I was always the, new kid. I went to 5 different elementary schools, and so I had a lot of, challenges, just, trying to always fit in. And um but this is also in the 70s, where parents weren't
Yeah.
present in the classrooms, and they weren't, like, I walked to school and I walked home from school, and there
Mhm.
wasn't, parent night, so to speak. Like, I don't ever remember my mother coming to school. And so that just not and she worked, by the time she left her husband, she was working 2 and 3 jobs.
Yeah.
So I was a latchkey kid. My older sister
Yeah.
was a latchkey kid. Like, this was not mom staying at home and involved in all the functions, and we do lemonade stands, and, like, everybody is aware. They're just
Mhm.
not. And
Mhm.
so there was not a lot of questioning, in terms of family. But I never looked like anybody growing up in my schools, and so I
Mhm.
was always, the outsider, and always trying to fit in. And so there's that sense of, just trying to, to be a part of something, and
Mhm.
but never really finding that,
Right. Well, it doesn't help with not having a supportive older sister who's feeding the rest of the school community possibly, and that, yeah, that's that's my little sister, but not really, or whatever she may have said at the time.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, do you have a relationship now with this older sister and the younger brother?
I have a great relationship with my younger brother and no to my older sister.
So she's still the same, rooted in the same.
She-
Wow.
She's just the same. She is, she definitely entered into this world um, needing to work some things out. And I don't
Mhm.
know that she has.
Mhm. True, true. I have recognized myself that there's some people, they are just already born troubled. And no matter what is offered to them and ways of help, they just never seem to have the spirit to connect with positivity or to help in any type of way. And they just keep going down that negative trajectory. So yes, I understand where you're coming from with that. And you just have to leave those people that never want to realize or come to a truth. You just have to leave them where they are and pray for the best that they don't do something else extreme. So fast forward, when did you finally feel some type of relief, as it were, and a connection with people and connection with brown people that looked like you?
It wasn't until I got to college and immersed myself in Black culture
Mhm.
and Black student groups and really did start finding my way around what that community looked like. And I also discovered colorism is real.
Mhm.
I didn't have a word or a language for it. I didn't even know that, when I was experiencing it. But growing up, even though, I did not know the cause of my difference, right? I didn't know what my heritage certainly was growing up. And after I found out at nearly 18, then what I assumed was that there was this entire Black community that was just waiting to embrace me. And when I got to
Mhm.
college, I discovered that that was not the case. Growing up too Black to be white, and now I'm too white to be Black. And so that there's this, sort of razor's edge. That you sort of try to figure out. June Cross writes about it extensively. She's this amazing author and playwright, and she talks about balancing on that razor's edge and not getting cut, right?
Mhm.
Don't know that I managed to really figure that out until probably after college, when I was
Mhm.
married and raising my own family and
Mhm.
having, my own friends. And really, truly is when I think I had an opportunity to develop some amazing friendships that to this day, almost 30 years later, we are still friends. And that means a lot to me. But no, not when I was younger, and certainly not until college did I really truly get to hang out with Black folks and really immerse what it meant to be a person of color.
Right. I feel you 100%, Dr. Naima. Really quickly, let me give you a tiny slice of my life and sort of how it parallels to yours. I grew up in a very small town in North Carolina. So, of course, I'm living in the South, and it's very, very small and very white. And I am the only little Black girl in her classes all the way up to the sixth grade. So the first through sixth grade, I was the only little Black girl in my class. Now, oddly, now my parents were very involved in my childhood. They were very involved. They were PTA president. They were PTA secretary. So they had they were very involved. And if something ever happened to me, I was told to report to them and let them know something happened. So I was picked on a little bit by white children early on, first grade or so, and that type of thing. Then once I got to what we used to call junior high, an influx of Black students came, and I was like, hooray, but not hooray for me, because every Black girl hated me. They hated me. They could not stand me. I was told, oh, you think you're white, you think you're this. And I was like, think I'm white? Where is this coming from? So I had that. Although I was very smart, very popular, in some different ways, but I had to lean on white friends in the latter part. And it wasn't until I got to college that I was fully embraced by a spectrum of Black people. And I was like, oh my gosh. So a little bit, this stuff stems from small towns, small town America, whether you're dealing with Black people or white people or whomever else. If you've got that small town mind, that brings on a lot of things too. A lot of people are not educated sometimes, at least at the time frame that I grew up in small towns. And, they're holding on to these thoughts, that they just cannot let go. So, but yes, it took me also until college that I embraced. And like you, I have had friends for 30 plus years. Of course, I'm in different groups, AKA the Links and Jack and Jill and all of these things. So, but that's where all of my friends have come from. So, yeah, so sometimes I would say to young people who may be dealing with racial identity crises, bullying of any sort, no matter what your brown skin tone looks like, that there can be an end to the rainbow, and you can find your place with some people that support you and like you and love you for who you are.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yes, yes, yes. So fast forward, let me ask you this. Was your name always Naeema?
It was not. It was
Ah,
not indeed. It
that is,
was not indeed.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I said it was not. It was not.
Yeah, so yes, I figured I was piecing together your puzzle, and I was like, her name couldn't have been Naima the whole time. And so I suppose, um, did you adopt the last name Olantunji?
Olatunji, and it's actually a married name.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
and I
Got you.
write about it in the book, and it's a beautiful sort of
Yes.
uh, ceremony and just a wonderful sort of embracing of culture and it was really nice and the really super I just think incredible thing for me is that Olatunji means honor reawakened
Oh.
and this what it felt like is, you know, at that time in my life, I was 23 and
Mhm,
it just was such perfect timing, you know, to really embrace just new culture
mhm.
um, and I loved I loved seeing, you know, embracing because when you don't know, when you can't track you know where your people are from you have to sort of embrace an entire country entire continent right
Right,
so you know
right.
that was really
Exactly. Wow, yes. Well, definitely your name is very beautiful and very lyrical. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. So you are embracing and women to follow their dreams. You have a podcast and it's called
elevate now.
Elevate Now. And so you're reaching back to sisters out there who you're trying to empower them to that they can follow their dreams. Yes, 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 yes. Excellent.
Yes, yes,
Excellent.
absolutely. I think that the really great thing is being able to communicate with other folks or connect with other women who are, you know, reinventing themselves as well.
Mhm,
Like I didn't
mhm,
write my book. I didn't start writing until I was 49, and
mhm,
telling
mhm.
telling a story from, you know, if from your middle age is this very different perspective, right? And so
Yes.
what I love is talking to and connecting with other women who are reinventing themselves and emerging as, a different iteration and a different version, of themselves. And I'm
Mhm.
a new empty nester. And so
Yeah.
that's really an incredible part of my life now, and
Yeah.
recognizing that I have so many more things that I want to do, in my life, and I'm excited about that because, even though all three of my children are now essentially grown, like there's so much more life to live, and there's so many more
Yes.
things I want to do in my life, and that's the part that I get excited about, and connecting with other women in that space
Yeah.
is really exciting.
Yes, most definitely. And I'm there, I'm right there with you. My husband and I own a healthcare company and since 2005, but healthcare is kind of like his line of work. I joined his healthcare company because I'm a very methodical thinker and very organized type of person. But my love and passion is media, and I went to journalism school. So when technology spun around and people can do podcasts, that opened my eyes, and I was like, "Oh, I love this! I love doing this!" And I wouldn't have possibly been able to do this had my children been younger. But now that I have a 24-year-old and a 19-year-old, all of a sudden, like you said, I'm freed. I've been freed up, and I can do all these different things. And you're right, God willing, as God is willing, we have a lot more life to live, and you need to have a sense of direction for that.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely
Yes,
agreed. I
most
love that. Yep.
definitely. And so, if you could tell us one thing about inspiring folks to, to get through your trauma of racial identity, what would you give? What advice would you give them?
I think that the greatest gift that I have given myself didn't actually start until I was 49.
Mhm.
What I would have said is that I have learned a tremendous amount of perseverance. I have learned a how to tap into the part of my character that ensures that I put one foot in front of the other. I am, by design, and certainly have been raised by very strong women in my life. I'm not a quitter. And but I also get super excited about doing other things. So I'll share a quick story. My mom used to call me Monday, Wednesday. So I'd have these phenomenal ideas about how I was going to save the world, change the world, make this huge impact. And I would tell her all about this on Monday. And then she'd check back in with me on Wednesday. And I'd be like, oh, mom, that was so Monday ago. And, uh, and then I'm off to the races for this newer idea and concept and how I'm going to put my cape on and
Oh,
conquer the world. And so I had this sort of playing through all of my young adulthood, and trying my hand at different things while I was raising my kids. But really, truly, I was focused on my family. And like my mom, I really wanted to do better for my family. And so I made
yeah,
sure that I surrounded myself as an adult with other really strong, capable women, all women of color. And so what I felt like is that I insulated myself from my own childhood trauma, because what I
yeah.
would not have told you is that I had childhood trauma. What I
Mm,
would have told you is that's just my story. Just like if you grow up in the cold part of the country, anywhere in the world, and
mhm.
it's cold in the winter, it's just cold. you
Right.
you don't think that, oh gosh, it's so unfortunate, and all, like, it's just cold. It is your norm. And so for me, my childhood was my norm. I think that we
Yeah.
normalize
Yeah.
things in our life. What I had not counted on, however, is that decisions that I had made about myself and experiences that I had, that I determined meaning about my value and my worthiness as a little person was still running the show as an adult person. And when I had a complete meltdown when I was 49 over a relationship, what I didn't realize is the degree to which that incapacitated me. I
Mhm.
absolutely became paralyzed, and my friends could not understand why the the shock and the hurt and the pain was so severe. And it
Mhm.
simply was this, that I had let all of these things be swept under the rug for all the years. And when they all came bubbling to the surface, and this one relationship I had attached all of my worth to and my meaning in life, and what it was that I was going to do out in the world was all, intertwined to this relationship. And when the relationship dissolved and the
Mhm.
man walked out on me, I then attributed all of the negative things, that somehow I wasn't worthy, somehow I
Yeah.
wasn't valuable enough to stick around and to love unconditionally, and especially when times got hard. And I had already survived a 22-year marriage that ended up in divorce. And what I thought was, like, now 6 years later, I should be fully capable to withstand all of the things. And here's the truth. It all comes out in the wash. And the greatest gift that I could have given myself was I went to therapy, because I didn't have the answers. I could not figure it out. I could literally, what do they say? People say I can't figure my way out of a paper bag. Like, that's
Yeah.
how I
Yeah.
felt. I
Yeah.
was so incredibly traumatized by what was happening presently, that I couldn't dig my way out of the trees to see that, in fact, I was in the middle of a forest. And
Yeah.
weekly therapy sessions is what helped me identify, first become aware that there was, in fact, something greater at play than I was willing to admit. Because what I kept saying is, oh, it's just about now. I've survived. I'm like, I'm all these things. And here I am, this, otherwise, if you look at me on paper, like this successful woman, I had become a doctor. I had raised 3 kids. Like, I'm good. And it was through therapy that I realized that, much like the military teaches their soldiers, that you override whatever is happening so that you can simply deal with whatever crisis is in front of you, that you do not think about your family back home, or you think about what you want to eat for lunch. Like, you 100% need to focus and exclude everything else out so that you can deal with the crisis at hand. Well, what I've
Yeah.
been doing my entire life is overriding my true feelings and my experiences, sweeping them under the rug, and then piling the next accomplishment and then the next accomplishment, until it all came to the surface, and it prevented me. That's the proverbial brick wall all coming down. And through therapy, not only was I able to heal myself, but truly, for me, I mean, an entire book came out of it, and I can't be more
Yes.
grateful for that.
Yes, yes. Wow. And I thank you for that, because that what all that you just said is the reason why I am producing this mental health series, is that I want people to realize, we all go through struggles of some sort in this life, and you will have them, but it does not have to end in tragedy such as suicide. You don't have to keep on living in a mental pain status. And I'm giving people all these options of these stories, whether you choose therapy or religion, or you have to have a certain medication, or a combination of a whole lot of things, then take it, then do it. You've got to come. There is a life on the other side of pain.
Yeah.
And so definitely, I really appreciate you saying that. That's exactly what I want my audience to get from this series.
And
Dr. Naeema, I am so appreciative of you being a guest on my show today. And I can't wait for more people to read Raised as a Lie. And I think that will definitely help a lot of people today. And where can we find Raised as a Lie? Where can we buy that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can find that and new upcoming events and things that are happening for us at raisedasalie.com. And I'm also on Instagram under Dr. Naeema Writes. And I'm certain that the links that you will have for your audience. And yeah, absolutely love to connect with folks. And if you'd like a signed autographed copy of the book, then definitely go onto our website. Something I wanted to say that you just said really highlighted for me the importance of taking responsibility for your own mental health and for your own emotional well-being. I
Yeah,
think that until we look in the mirror and we say that it is nobody else's responsibility, nor is it their task, nor would it ever be anybody else's priority to create health from within, that's when you can start incorporating a multitude of things that bring you to your greatest, healthiest version of yourself. I took
yeah,
myself on as a project, just like I would
yes,
do in work, because I
right,
knew how valuable it was and that
right,
nothing externally was going to give me what I sought and what I needed from within. So I love that you said that, because you can there's such a variety of options that are available. And because mental health is becoming so much more of a trending topic, I think that we can have more conversations around utilizing a myriad of resources to find a good, healthy space for each one of us.
yes, most definitely. Well said. And Dr. Naima, just as you said, we'll have all of her information in the show notes of the podcast and in the YouTube video. We'll have all of her information in the description. Once again, Dr. Naima, thank you for sharing your story with us today.
Absolutely. Such an honor to chat with you today.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for joining the Bookaholic podcast. We appreciate your support. Remember to subscribe to the podcast, follow us on Instagram at True Bookaholic. You can also email us at readingjunkie@book-a-holic.com. Don't forget to support your local library and independent bookstores.